Living in an apartment with a Tesla is the worst thing that I've ever experienced. I literally just got my Tesla and I left work at 25% and I arrived at the supercharger with 9% left.
Do not want to deal with high gas prices? Buy an electric car. Want to protect the environment? Buy an electric car. Electric cars are advertised as the answer to every problem, so why are thousands of electric car buyers now angry and full of regret because they feel like they were trapped? A lot of people thought buying an electric car instead of a gas car would be a bargain, only to realize now that it is a massive debt. Today we are going to look at the 5 biggest problems making electric car buyers regret their decision. These vehicles can be inconvenient, expensive, and turn into a trap the moment you put your name on the contract. You could become one of them too if you do not watch today's video. But do not worry, at the end of the video I will give you the 5 worst electric car brands you need to avoid, along with an alternative that may be a better fit for Americans. Watch today's video right now before another advertisement sells you a fantasy about an electric car. Let us start with the first thing that makes so many electric car buyers regret their decision, losing their freedom. But before we talk more about what losing freedom really means here, listen to what this woman has to say. That reason sounds familiar, does it not? I bet some of you watching this video, maybe even you have considered an electric car for that exact reason. Not to protect the environment, but simply because gas prices keep getting higher. Have you noticed every time gas prices start climbing again, the promise of an electric car suddenly sounds a lot more attractive? No more staring at the prices at the gas station, no more worrying that something happening somewhere in the world will make your commute more expensive next week. Just go home, plug it in, and get back to your normal life the next morning. But look closely at what just happened to that woman. She bought an EV so the gas station would no longer control her life. Now she has 29 miles of range left, her home is 32 miles away, and her entire trip is being controlled by a different number. Getting away from gasoline does not automatically mean you have taken back your freedom. Sometimes you have simply traded a familiar dependency for a new one. That is right, 100 miles may sound like enough if you are only looking at the distance between your home and your workplace. But now ask yourself this, if this were your family's only vehicle, would 100 miles still sound like enough? You go to work, stop for groceries, pick up your child, and then get a call saying a family member needs you another 40 miles away. The car does not know that today is different from yesterday. It only knows how much power is left. And the advertised 100 miles is not 100 miles that drivers are willing to use all the way down. You need to keep a buffer for the weather, air conditioning, heat highway, driving terrain, cargo, and the possibility that the next charging station does not work. That buffer is part of the range you paid for but are too afraid to use. With a gas car, I look at the gauge and feel like I still have a certain amount of fuel. With an EV, a lot of people feel like they are managing a forecast. The advertised range tells you how far the car can go when everything works in your favor. Freedom depends on how far it can still take you when things do not. But range is not the whole problem. Whether an EV is truly convenient often depends on where it is parked every night. Do you live in an apartment? Before looking at the price of the car, look at the parking lot. Do you have an assigned space? Are you allowed to install a charger? If the building only has 2 charging stations, how many people will come home at the same time you do? And having a garage may still not be enough. A friend of mine once said their older home might need around $10,000 just to upgrade the electrical panel, not including running wiring to the garage or buying the charger. If you have to spend thousands of dollars just to make your home capable of supporting the car, how long will it take for your gas savings to make that money back? 30 minutes does not sound very long, right? But what if that is after a work shift when you still need to buy food, pick up your child, or get ready for the next morning? 1 hour will not ruin anybody's life in one day. But when that hour keeps coming back week after week, it is no longer charging time. It becomes part of your schedule that the car has already claimed. They say you can eat dinner while the car charges. But if you choose a restaurant only because its parking lot has a charging station, then the car is not adjusting to your evening. Your evening is adjusting to the car. A vehicle bought to save time is now forcing you to find ways to kill time. That is a contradiction that is hard to ignore. One case does not prove every EV fails in the winter, but what if that were your car? What if your phone rang at midnight, a family member needed help, and the car was telling you to wait while the battery warmed up? So before asking how much money an EV can save you on gas, answer 3 questions for yourself. Where will you charge it every night? Will this be your family's only vehicle? And if you need to leave right now, not after the car finishes charging, will it be ready? If you do not have solid answers yet, you may not be buying a vehicle that gives you freedom. You may be buying a new schedule, and all of this still depends on one huge assumption: the next charging station actually exists, still works, and is available when you arrive. That brings us to the second problem: America's charging infrastructure is still not reliable enough. I've been driving long enough to know that gas stations have broken pumps too. But if one pump does not work, I can usually just move to the next one. I do not have to check 3 apps, find the right adapter, and hope a stranger shows up to rescue me. At this stop, several CCS chargers were not working. A Rivian owner lent an NACS adapter to the driver of a Hyundai Ioniq 5 so they could use the nearby Tesla chargers and continue the trip. I respect that Rivian owner, but let us be honest, the backup plan for a charging network cannot be hoping that a kind stranger drives by with the right adapter in the trunk. If you arrive with 60% battery, this is only an inconvenience, but change that number to 6%. It is already dark, your child is sitting in the back, and the next station is beyond your remaining range. At that point, a broken charger is no longer just a technology problem. It is the reason your family cannot continue the trip. At least those drivers could see that the chargers were dead. It is even worse when the station is out of service, but your phone still insists everything is perfectly fine. One driver said they planned the entire route around a station the app showed as open. They arrived with 11% battery only to find the station dark blocked off or showing an old error code. This is one person's experience, not proof that every charging station in America is like this. But if you are the person standing there, the national average will not move your car another mile. Put yourself in that position. You skipped the previous station, trusted the app, and used almost all your backup range. Now you are no longer planning the trip. You are planning for the possibility that the first plan fails. Let us say the app is right this time. The charger works. You arrive at the correct location. Everything should be fine, except there is nowhere left to plug in. This happened in China, not America. A driver lost control and damaged vehicles that were taking up charging spaces without being plugged in. No amount of frustration excuses that behavior, but the reason behind it shows something very real. A charger can work perfectly, but if the space is occupied, it might as well not exist for the person who needs power. 5% battery, all 4 spaces are occupied, 2 of the cars are not even charging. You can stay calm, but staying calm does not stop the battery from dropping, and sometimes the space is empty, and the charger is still standing there, but the cable is gone. AP has reported cable thefts in several American states, including cases where nearly every cable at a charging location was stolen, forcing drivers to leave. You checked the right app, went to the right address, and brought the right adapter. But nobody thinks they also need to check whether the cable is still there. With a gas car, when I see a gas station sign ahead, I pretty much know the problem is about to be solved. With an EV, the icon on the map only starts a whole new list of questions. And a system that forces drivers to ask that many questions still cannot provide the feeling of freedom it promises. And here's the third problem that many people do not think about until after they buy the car. Electric cars can be very difficult to repair when something goes wrong. I am not saying every EV breaks down all the time. Gas cars break too, and my nearly 20-year-old Honda Accord is certainly not immune. But the concern is the kind of problem the vehicle develops and how many options the owner has once that problem appears. On many modern electric vehicles, the screen is not only there to change the music. It may display the speed climate controls, cameras, maps, and important warnings. In the old days, when the radio broke, you lost your music. Now a black screen can make a whole list of functions disappear at the same time. Would you feel safe if you were driving on the highway and most of the car's information suddenly went dark? Maybe restarting the system would fix it. But after the second or third time, you stop wondering whether the problem will come back. You start wondering when it will come back. And when the problem is in the software or the high voltage system, the owner usually cannot just open the hood and find a nearby mechanic. The car may need special diagnostic equipment, specialized software, and a trained technician. In areas with only a few service centers, the buyer has even fewer options. The high voltage battery system adds even more uncertainty. A warning may come from a sensor, a module, or a much bigger problem. Until someone figures it out, the owner does not know whether to keep driving or leave the vehicle parked. And the car may stop running, but the bills do not. The loan insurance, towing, and replacement transportation costs keep coming. The software may have a problem, but the bank rarely has a problem collecting money on payment day. How long could your family manage if its only vehicle sat in the shop for 3 weeks? But the car does not even need to break down to cost buyers more than they expected. Insurance, a home charger, registration fees, and depreciation can quietly take back all the money they thought they would save on gas. And here's the next mistake. A lot of people compare the cost of electricity with the cost of gas, and then decide an electric car must be cheaper. I do not buy a car based on one column in a spreadsheet. I count every dollar that has to leave my account so that car can sit in my driveway and keep serving my family. Let us start with insurance. An EV may save you trips to the gas station, but the higher vehicle price, all those sensors and complicated repair costs can drive up your insurance premium. Before celebrating the $100 you save on gas every month, check how much more the insurance company is taking from you. The gas station may stop taking your money, but the insurance company will be more than happy to take its share. Then there is home charging. The ads make it sound as simple as plugging in your phone before bed, but some people need to buy a separate charger run wiring to the garage, upgrade the electrical panel, or get permission from the landlord and the HOA. A car advertised as something you can simply plug into your home may start with you having to fix the home itself. And if you rent, ask yourself who owns that investment when you move out. But the biggest expense usually does not appear on a monthly bill. It is depreciation. You see money leaving your pocket for gas every week, so it is easy to hate it. Depreciation is more polite. It sits quietly in the driveway, sends no alerts, and does not make your credit card buzz until the day you want to sell the car. That is when you find out newer technology has arrived, the manufacturer just cut the price of new vehicles, and the car you own is no longer worth what you thought it was. That entire loss shows up all at once. And when the car loses value faster than you pay down the loan, you do not just lose money. You may no longer be able to afford to sell it. And now we get to the real trap. It is the moment you realize the car no longer fits your life, but you cannot afford to get out of it. I have a friend named Tom. Tom used to drive a Chevrolet Equinox that was fully paid off. It was not fast, it was not new, and it definitely did not turn any heads in the parking lot. But it got him to work every day without sending him another car payment. Then Tom switched to a high-performance EV. At first, everything was exciting. It accelerated quickly, the interior felt modern, and he no longer had to stop at gas stations. But the payment of nearly $1,000 a month quickly turned that excitement into pressure. $1,000. Not for housing, not for retirement savings, just to keep a car sitting in the driveway. I asked Tom why he agreed to that payment. He said the monthly number still looked manageable when he signed the contract. That is how the trap begins. The dealership did not make the car cheaper, it simply stretched the pain across several years, so each month looked less frightening. But then the insurance went up, his driving needs changed. Tom started realizing the car no longer suited him the way it did on day one. He thought about selling it and going back to something simpler. That was when he found out he could not just hand over the keys and walk away. Let us say you still owe $45,000, but the buyer only values the car at $32,000. To sell it, you have to come up with $13,000 yourself to cover the gap. That is negative equity. It is not just depreciation, it is the price of escaping a decision you no longer want to keep. That is what the word trapped really means. And this level of risk is not the same with every manufacturer. Some brands lose value faster, have weaker repair networks, or leave buyers more dependent on the company. So next we are going to rank the electric car brands buyers need to be most careful about. I know this is the part where fans of each brand are going to start getting angry, but I'm not ranking them based on logos politics or one popular video online. I read both the complaints and the positive experiences, then looked at the purchase price, repairability, depreciation service network, and how committed the manufacturer still seems to be to the product. Rank 5 Tesla is at the bottom of the list, which means it worries me the least out of these 5 names. I understand the appeal, the cars are fast, the software is modern, the brand is easy to recognize, and the supercharger network is a real advantage. Tesla says more than 15,000 superchargers in North America are gradually being opened to other brands, and it reports network uptime of 99.95%. Whether you like Tesla or not, very few competitors have built a charging ecosystem on the same scale. What makes me cautious is how easily buyers can fall in love with a brand before checking whether the car actually fits their lives. Tesla is not the scariest EV. It is simply the one most likely to make people buy first and ask questions later. Rank 4. General Motors GM has an advantage that many startups do not have: scale manufacturing experience and a large dealership network. I am not worried that GM will disappear next week, but I am worried about the gap between the price and what an ordinary family actually needs. The 2026 GMC Sierra EV starts at around $62,400, while some max range versions have MSRPs above $90,000, and the Denali Max range costs more than $100,000. That is the kind of price range where a bad decision can follow a family for years. GM is also making major changes to its EV strategy. Reuters reported that the company had recorded a total of around $10.9 billion in costs related to restructuring its electric vehicle business since the middle of 2025, even though GM's overall business remained profitable and the company was reducing its EV losses. Rank 3, Stellantis, Ram, Fiat, and Dodge. Stellantis owns several long-established brands, and a short-range EV is not automatically a bad vehicle. A Fiat 500e owner in the comments said they only drive around 400 miles a month charge once a week and are very happy because the car fits their life perfectly. But that is exactly the issue. These products require buyers to understand their needs very precisely. Ram says the 2026 ProMaster EV has a combined range of around 164 miles. Even with a 50% load, that may be enough for a fixed delivery route in the city, but businesses do not drive the exact same route, carry the exact same load, and get the exact same weather every day. An electric van is not bad just because it can travel 164 miles, but it is a bad decision if your work regularly requires mile 165. With Ram, Fiat, and Dodge, I still do not see a clear enough balance between price range and the real needs of their traditional customers. Rank 2, Audi and Mercedes. Benz, Audi, and Mercedes can build some beautiful cars. The interiors are excellent, the driving experience feels premium, and the technology is enough to make my old Accord look like a typewriter on wheels. But the first buyer takes the biggest risk. NHTSA confirmed that the high-voltage batteries in some Audi e-tron GT vehicles could develop a short circuit inside a module which could lead to overheating or a thermal event. The fix includes replacing the affected modules. Depreciation is another thing that makes me especially cautious. IC Cars estimates that the Audi e-tron loses around 68.7% of its value after 5 years. Those vehicles may become attractive bargains for used car buyers, but the second owner's bargain is often paid for with the first owner's money. Rank 1, Lucid. Lucid may be the most impressive car on this list. The Lucid Air has remarkable battery technology and performance. I am also not saying the company is going bankrupt. Lucid has publicly denied those rumors. But when you buy an expensive car, you are not only buying the product, you are betting that the company behind it will remain strong enough to provide service parts and updates for many years. In Q1 of 2026, Lucid reported a net loss of around $1.03 billion. The company ended the quarter with around $3.2 billion in liquidity, or around $4.7 billion when including capital raised afterward. Lucid later announced that it was cutting around 18% of its United States workforce, changing its leadership structure, and temporarily withdrawing its annual production forecast because of supplier problems. The company still said it had enough liquidity to continue operating into the following year. Both sides of that story need to be mentioned. After looking at this entire list, my conclusion is not that Tesla is always bad, Audi always breaks, or Lucid is guaranteed to fail. My conclusion is that EV buyers have to evaluate more than the car itself, the charging network, service, software, resale value, and the financial health of the manufacturer. And that is why a less flashy option is starting to make more sense for many American families, a hybrid. After everything we just looked at, I have to be honest, electric cars may be a better fit for many parts of Europe than for most of America. I am not saying all of Europe is the same, and I am not saying Americans should never buy EVs. But if you live somewhere with shorter distances, a dense charging network, and trains or buses as a backup, having your car sit and charge is only an inconvenience. In many parts of America, if your car is not ready, you could miss a work shift. Homes, schools, hospitals, and workplaces are often dozens of miles apart. Many families only have one dependable vehicle. Here, a car is not just a piece of technology. It is how you earn a living and show up when your family needs you. So if a neighbor asked me where they should start looking for a car, I would say this: look at hybrids first. A hybrid uses an electric motor to reduce gas consumption in the city, but it still has a gasoline engine when you need to travel farther. With a plug-in hybrid, you can charge it for shorter trips. If there is a charger, use it. If there is not, you can still get home. And I am not going to sell you another fairy tale either. Hybrids still use gas, still need maintenance, and an overpriced hybrid is still a bad decision. A plug-in hybrid also cannot deliver its full benefits if the owner never plugs it in. Today's video may be one of the topics I have cared about most, not only because electric cars are such a hot subject right now, but also because so many people have asked me to cover this and explain it clearly. Now I want to hear about your own experience. Are you driving an electric car, hybrid, or are you still sticking with a gas car? What makes you happiest, and what do you regret the most? Share your experience in the comments. If you found today's video helpful, subscribe to the channel and watch for my upcoming videos. Maybe the next video will be about gas prices. That is a pretty hot topic too.